before she died, during that 20 minutes at least, I had gone to the nursing staff and said, I really want to be alone with her body, undisturbed for a couple of hours, not just have her whisked off to a morgue or something. And so at least I did, and like you mentioned the energy, I don't know that I'd say the energy in my body, I don't know if it was her energy, but I could definitely, and this happens anytime, I feel this ascending energy, and it's like there's ascending energy in the room from the energy leaving top of the head of the person who's died, I guess you'd say, and it feels like this spiritual energy there, and so it certainly was, I felt the sorrow at first, but then was able to connect with that spiritual energy and be serving her during that time.
Got.
My mother wanted to die at home because her previous visit to the hospital was so traumatic. And that morning after she died, my brothers came over and made a coffin, and we, put cedar leaves and things from the trees and I think bay leaves in with her, and then I drove her body in the back of the truck down to Bay Area for the rest of the siblings. I had 6 brothers and sisters, and they got a chance to see her. And then on the way back, she had made arrangements. I helped her make arrangements a year before with a crematory, but they couldn't take the body yet because I had to go to the hospital to see her doctor in Santa Rosa. So I drove up to Santa Rosa. This is February 1st, 1998. That there was one 48-hour period where it rained harder than any time in history, and they closed down 101 because it was flooded in several places, and it was like the heavens were just crying.
Yes.
The windshield, it was just continuous. It's like. Wow. But the doctor, she picked a good doctor. It was a Hindu lady that totally respected her wishes and knew exactly what. She didn't even have to even see her, because she knew that she died of smoking with congestive heart failure. And so I was able to drive her back down. I had to do all these detours to get back to the crematory. But it was still a blessing, be with her just like that, with the rain. And just, and also it was a blessing for the family to be able to see the body when I took them down there to the theater.
And it was a blessing when we took her body and placed it into the coffin, and the body didn't fit.
Oh, they made it a 1 inch short.
And my brother-in-law said to me, he said, "You'd think he would have measured."
Well, we just had to kind of move the legs a little bit.
That's right. That's right.
And so we had the most wonderful laugh. We just laughed and laughed. And,
Yes.
I'd like to tell a brief story that just to remind us of past the practical aspects. There is a vast mystery that often it seems very beautiful. When I was getting my master's in counseling, my mentor's wife had cancer. And I was able to work with her a little bit, and even though I didn't know her well at all, we agreed that whichever one of us passed first would come back and tell the other person, let them know what is it like on the other side. She was very ill, and she died fairly quickly. And the first thing that happened was that my mentor called me up and said that this most astonishing thing had happened. Her cancer had transferred to her spine, and so she had been in a coma for like 2 weeks at least, no consciousness, no awareness, no interaction whatsoever. And because of the pain, I think pain did register, she was also on intense pain medications. Well, my mentor, Bob, was sitting with her one afternoon, and she suddenly just sat up, opened her eyes, and her eyes were just shining. And for the next 10 minutes, she spoke to her husband, but looking at this scene. And she, oh, Bob, look, it's so beautiful. And she would name specific, things of beauty. And she said, you see that? And he said, well, no. She said, oh, it's right there, And then after 10 minutes, she just breathed out and was gone.
Wow.
And a few weeks later, I was driving in my car, and I never, ever have the car radio dialed to a music station, because I have unusual taste in music, so I don't want to hear, what's on the radio. Suddenly, I don't even know if the radio was on, to tell you the truth, but if it was to a talk show. Suddenly, this glorious song burst out of the radio. It was a male and a female, and they were singing alternately and in harmony. And it just was the most beautiful song I've ever heard in my life. And I tried to hear the words. And the words that I could hear were sweet, sweet vibrations, white and white light. And so I said, no. And I mean, immediately when I heard that, this chill just flowed over my whole body, and I just knew this was how Terry, the woman, was communicating with me. And but I still, being a typical American, had some doubts. So I thought, I'm going to listen. They're going to say something that doesn't fit. And I listened as hard as I could. And the only other word that I heard beyond sweet, sweet vibration and white light, and it was an utter joy. I've never heard a more joyous song, was love. That was it. And when that song ended, I simply turned the radio off, because it felt like the right thing to do. So there are vast wonders that we don't know about.
Wonderful.